Hi, I'm Mike Allen, Politico's chief White House correspondent, and it's time to turn the table with David Gregory, moderator of NBC's Meet the Press. David, thanks for chatting. Both Politico and the New York Times have pieces this week about the paradox between a president who accomplishes both health reform and banking reform, and yet seems to be back on his heels. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, I think it's amazing, and Politico really captured this week. You know, in 1994, under President Clinton, Democrats fared so poorly in that midterm election, and in part it's because Democrats couldn't get anything done. There was this chaos theory where they couldn't get anything passed. Here, the president has, as you say, achieved major elements of his agenda: financial reform, health care reform, and yet he hasn't seemed to really win the argument. And it really is because it boils down to what is driving this sense of discontent about the country is the economy. 9.5% unemployment, so many people out of work, stopping even in their job search. That's what has people so upset about what government is doing or not doing. And the truth is, what the president has done about the economy has not really materially affected enough people, even if it has begun to turn the tide on what was a very difficult situation.
Now, do you feel like that discontent, that landscape is sort of set between now and November, or do you think that we could have some surprises?
Well, I think that there's still an opportunity for it not to be as bad as it may be. I mean, Robert Gibbs certainly made a lot of news on Meet the Press last Sunday by saying that the House, the majority was in jeopardy for Democrats. And I think there's no question that that's the case. It'll come down to the ground game. It'll come down to money. And yes, it's going to come down on the president's ability to campaign and really frame the election in such a way to make a difference. But, you know, we talk a lot about how independent voters have left this administration, have left this president. But you and I both know from covering these in a midterm election, it's the base that gets out there that's most enthusiastic. Right now, that enthusiasm gap is benefiting Republicans, not because they necessarily have a plan to turn the economy around, but because they are in the opposition right now and have remained unified in opposition. So as long as that continues to be the case, this is not the magic of 2006 and 2008 for Democrats. They are now in power, and they're going to have to really bear the brunt of what is such dissatisfaction with government. I think that's what's key right now, is government making the economy better or making it worse? And a lot of conservatives who are animated and enthusiastic about voting right now think Obama has moved to the left, has spent a ton of money that the government doesn't have, and made things worse.
Yeah. Now, David, you really drove the week with that question to Robert Gibbs. Were you surprised by the aftershocks from that?
Well, I mean, I knew that it was significant as he said it because, you know, you don't often get a recognition of what a lot of people are saying privately, is certainly not from the president's spokesman. But I really, Mike, think it underscored something that's important, and that is that tension right now between the White House and Democrats. There is not a great deal of affinity, as Politico talked about in the piece this week, between those House rank-and-file Democrats and the White House, and frankly, with the president. A lot of House Democrats feel like, look, they've taken the tough votes on energy, on health care, only to not be backed up by the president. They want to see the president out there campaigning for him. And when you have a press secretary, the spokesman of the president, saying, well, yeah, we could lose the House, that really gives a lot of ammunition to the right. So from that point of view, I'm not surprised by the aftershocks because it came at a very difficult time.
Yeah. Now, David, you have a first ever on Meet the Press on Sunday.
We do. We've got the campaign chairs for both the House and the Senate for this midterm race, and we're going to follow up on this Gibbs comment and the aftershocks to talk about this balance of power. What's changed this week? The president's accomplishments, how far will that take Democrats? Is he an asset or a liability? We get into all of that and really look at the election horse race with the four chairmen.
Okay. Four chairmen. David, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you Sunday.
Thanks, Mike.